What's up, guys? Nick from Ingram Audio, and this time we're going to be talking about clip gaining. And if you're not familiar with what clip gaining is, essentially it's when you adjust the volume of the actual audio file opposed to adjusting the volume with the fader on the track. And the benefit to using clip gain would be if you have a super dynamic vocalist where some of the words are really quiet and then some of the words get really loud, you would want to use clip gain to level out those really loud parts with the quiet parts. So when it goes into your compressor or your EQ or whatever plugin you have, that vocal signal is going to hit that plugin more evenly and it's going to sound better. And you can use clip gain to control the S's, T's, or even the breaths of the vocals or any other sort of abrasive noise that you want to kind of bring down before it hits that compressor. Because I know for me personally, whenever I start throwing on a lot of compressors when I'm mixing my vocals, those S's and those T sounds, they really start to come out too much and it really starts to bother me. So then I'll use clip gain and I'll bring them down so that way when it hits the compressor, it's not going to be as abrasive. You can see just by looking at these vocals that they are very dynamic. We have super quiet parts and then immediately a super loud line and then immediately after that, super quiet and then super loud. We want to level those out so that way the compressor isn't getting all crazy or sounding different on the different parts. And I'm going to do that with clip gain, and I'm doing that with Logic. I mean, there has to be a way to do this in every DAW. I'm pretty sure there is a way to do this in every DAW, and it's got to be probably pretty similar to this. But I'm doing it in Logic, so to do that in Logic, I'm going to start by going up here to this little eye icon, and then you'll see right here it says gain. This is what I'm going to be using to adjust the gain on the audio. And I'm just going to use my scissor tool, and I'm going to cut parts that I want to turn up and down. Let's open up a compressor so we can see what it's really doing as we listen to it real quick.
And I'd never trade the life we built or the years that I put in. We drove the wolf back from the door, put a roof over our head. But my body and your heart both paid the price of living high.
So it got significantly louder there. It was hitting probably -11 at one point. We definitely want to bring this line down more so it matches more with the first two. That way it just is going to sound better. So I'm going to zoom in. I got my scissor tool ready to use. And I'm going to make a cut. Let me get in here. Let's really get in here. So, I'm not going to cut it here because this little part right here leading into the big loud part is the M. And I don't want to make that any quieter because it's already pretty quiet. So I'm going to cut it there, right where it starts to get loud. And then I'll just cut it right over here where it looks like it gets quiet. Then it looks like there's a quiet word here.
The price. Paid the price.
Yeah, so I don't want to adjust that because that's already really quiet too. So I want to leave that how it is. So I'm just going to mess with this little middle part. I'm going to highlight that section now that I have it cut. Go over to gain and let's just turn it down like a little over a decibel. I don't want to go too much because I don't want it to start to sound weird.
Roof over our head. But my body and your heart both paid the price.
It could probably come down even a little bit more. Right now, I took it down about 1.8. Let's go down probably 3. And, you know, these two words look louder than everything else. I'm a freak and a weirdo, so I would zoom in and I would cut it right here, right where that word, that second big word ends. And then I would highlight these two words, and I would bring them down a little bit more to make them just a little more even with the rest of the words in that line.
But my body and your heart both paid the price of living high.
So let's look at the compressor when we listen to that now.
But my body and your heart both paid the price of living high.
Yeah, it already looks better on the compressor where it's hitting on the meter. Let's just look at it before. So I'm going to move that down. And this is undoing all the edits I just did and taking it back to how it was before.
But my body and your heart both paid the price of living high.
Significantly louder. Undo that. Back to the edits.
But my body and your heart both paid the price of living high.
You can even tell just by listening to it, it sounds smoother. It sounds more even. So let's keep moving on. That sounds great.
And I'd never trade the life we built or the year.
I'd probably take down this word life if it were me. You don't have to get this in depth with it either. I'm just kind of weird, and I really like to get in depth when I do this. So I would make my cut right there, right where it starts to get loud, right there when it starts to get quiet. Highlight, take it down probably just, we'll see, like 1.7. No, yeah, that's probably perfect.
And I'd never trade the life we built.
That was too much. Honestly, that was too much. See, I got too carried away. You don't have to get too crazy with this.
Never trade the life we built.
That was perfect. That was all I needed to do. I took it down 0.9. Okay. Looks like this line is probably
Never
fine.
asked for much from me just to have me by your side. So and I'm clocking out from the last time.
All right, so we got another loud line here, and we want to bring that down. I don't want to turn this first part down, though, because it's already pretty quiet. It's at a great volume. It doesn't need to be changed. I just want to mess with the other words in this line. So I'm going to cut it where it looks like it starts to get loud. I'm just going to cut it. That looks like a good spot. Right there. Right where this hits. Right there. And then we'll give it a good cut right there. Maybe. And the reason I'm doing that is I'm cutting at the very end of the loud part because I don't want to mess with the part that gets really quiet, because sometimes a person's voice has some sort of emotion or something at the end there, or like a weird squeak that sounds kind of cool, and I don't want to like make those things disappear necessarily. I just want to adjust the really loud parts. So I'm going to highlight that, turn it down just a little bit.
And I'm clocking out from the last time.
Probably take it down even a tiny bit more. Let's take it down to -2.
And I'm clocking out from the...
Yeah, and then I could even go in, and I could even turn down this word clock, I believe it is.
Clocking out.
Yeah, I'm just going to cut it right here. I think this is the C in clock.
I'm clocking out.
And it sounds fine. I don't think I need to turn that down. If this C did sound abrasive or weird once I started to really compress these vocals, I could go in here and I could cut it and turn it down.
I'm clocking out. I'm clocking out.
But for this part, I don't need to do that. I'm putting the cut there, so I can turn this word down right here. There we go. That might have been too much. Let's go back up a little bit more.
And I'm clocking out from the last time.
Yeah, that already sounds better. We'll take a look at it as we listen.
And I'm clocking out from the last time.
Yeah, already is sounding better.
They can keep their money. I just spend my time watching every sunset reflect.
So let's just bring down that word watch. I feel like that's the only thing that probably needs to come down. I could probably just cut this one there. We'll cut it right there. So get a good zoom right when it plateaus and then falls off at the end of the word. Bring it down about 2.5.
Watching every sunset.
Maybe we'll bring it up a little bit back. 1.9.
Watching every sunset reflect in your deep blue eyes. Giving 40 hours.
So let's hear a couple of these lines real quick. Let's compare these two just one more time.
We drove the wolf back from the door, put a roof over our head. But my body and your heart both paid the price of living high. And you never asked for much from me just to have me by your side.
Sounds great. They sound so much more even now. They're hitting the compressor evenly, and it's getting the same tone and the same compression throughout the whole part now. And like I was saying earlier in the video, you can go beyond using clip gain to just level out the vocals, and you can actually use it to control and level out S's, breaths, T's, any sort of abrasive sound in the vocal that you really want to control. Let's say I wanted to turn down the S on this line I have right here.
By your side.
Let's say once I started compressing it, this S got really loud. It was just sounding too much, too in your face, and I didn't like it. So we'll zoom in on the S. Looks like this is it right here.
Your side.
All you have to do is just cut it out. Highlight the S I just cut out, and then we can just turn it down and make it less intense. Let's take it down like -5.
By your side.
Now it's a lot less intense.
by your side.
And those are just some of the cool things that you can do with clip gain. You can use it on any instrument, really, but on vocals, this is how I mostly use it. But that about wraps up this video. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to this channel, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.